We'll get started. Roll call, and just note that all commissioners are present. And we'll move on to the approval of the November 10th regular meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Next is the approval of the November 19th special meeting minutes.
Mr. Cruisenberger, Mr. Gaines were absent at that meeting.
You weren't there.
Second motion from I move we approve. Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Passes. And then approval of the 2015 December claims dockets. Questions on those?
You see some of the items we discussed during last airport board meeting are on there. Replacement brushes for the large broom as well as the 5 buster. The majority of them were discussed. That's a couple of fairly large chemical bills come in.
What's the yellow item?
Yellow item is an encumbrance from the previous year. So we're actually holding that since 2014 dollars. We're just finishing and wrapping that project up.
Move we approve. Second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Now for new business. Discussion and request for approval on Grammar Industries sublease to the National Guard.
So you can see there's several items, 4 different items here in the National Guard. We're lucky enough to have with us a couple members of the National Guard here to speak, as well as Justin Harvey from Grammar Industries. So Justin, if you want to first just go through a small amount of request, and then you can hand it over to the gentleman.
Okay. I guess we're requesting a sublease to the National Guard for the 5280 North Warren Drive building that we occupy now. We're going to go through the details of what we use for. And we're also asking for a parking lot modification that'll be displayed and a siding modification for them to put some signage on the west side of the building.
Jack?
Well, and
Speaking and representing the National Guard?
yes, I am. And what we're asking for is a lease of at least 1 acre of land north of the Grammar Industries hangar to park military vehicles in a static arrangement. It'll be fairly secure for those vehicles, and there won't be a lot of traffic in or out.
You want to give your presentation?
Well, and Justin and I felt that if we would go through this presentation for the board, that perhaps some of the things become more clarified for you. I also have a takeaway for each member of the board, and we'll walk through this as we make this presentation. But I'm Jack Fowler. I'm a strategic planner for Camp Atterbury, and I have with me Mr. Joe Rates, is also a strategic planner. And we've been working approximately 2 years to find a good location for the quartermaster unit, which is a parachute rigging unit, and it's currently located on the next slide, if you would, Joe. And I apologize for being a little hard to read, but it's currently located with another unit at Freeman Field in Seymour. It is going through a reorganization and doubling in size and essentially quadrupling in its parachute capabilities. The unit rigs personnel chutes, it rigs cargo chutes, and it loads pallets to be pushed out with heavy equipment on board those. So it's a very multi-purpose parachute rigging packing unit. It is, as a part of its reorganization, it has a regional responsibility in the northeast quarter of the United States. So units that require chute packing would look to this unit to prepare and provide those parachutes. Some of the requirements, next slide, that, well, maybe I was wrong, Joe. Some of the requirements that it now has is the ability to have access to a very mission-capable airfield. It needs to have the ability to fuel and refuel aircraft. It needs to be able to accommodate the C-130 or C-17 sized aircraft or larger on occasion. And we see, let's go to the next slide. It's terribly unclear for you, I apologize again. But we chose the Columbus course of action after about 2 years because it meets those requirements for the heavier airframes. It's easily accessed from major highways with 65, major corridor. It's close to Atterbury, and it's important to be close to Atterbury because it gives our soldiers who do use the parachute a place to do their exercise where they can jump. Atterbury is actively seeking additional airborne units to train at Atterbury. We have 11 certified by the Air Force, personnel and equipment drop zones at Atterbury. And for those who don't know, Atterbury is about 35,000 acres, so you really can't see that unless you fly over it. We recently increased one of our drop zones from 4,100 feet long by 2,000 feet wide to 9,000 feet long and 2,400 feet wide. And that is capable then of having a C-17 loaded with personnel, all be able to get out of that aircraft in one pass. And that's a fairly significant training accomplishment for that many to disembark. And the Atterbury Armory is being retrofitted to accommodate a company out of Illinois, a National Guard unit, that is a Special Forces group airborne. And they will be routinely needing to have the support of parachute riggers. And so why do we do the Columbus Municipal as a best course of action? It meets all of those things. It's an existing military partner airfield. It has room for growth, and it's adjacent to Atterbury, 14 road miles and 10 air miles away. Next slide, Joe. And you are capable of handling large military aircraft. This is a C-5 that was in here to support one of our exercises this past year. Next slide. We're looking at the area, and it's not at all visible, but it's near the 35-acre ramp. I'm sure that board members are all familiar with the Grammar Industries, next slide, hangar. We're looking at the potential of subleasing from Grammar Industries the current footprint that they occupy, the hangar, but not their fuel farm. They will retain their fuel farm operation. And next slide. We are talking about the 1 acre takeaway, the aggregate parking lot off of your field north of the drainage ditch. And that would be surrounded by Jersey barriers, no fences, it would be easily removed once the mission's complete. We didn't discuss the mission, but we're looking legally, technically, for a 1-year lease with renewables. We believe that we will be there 3 to 5 years. In the meantime, then we'll be looking to expand our existing armory to accommodate the mission and or build new. So we'll be back to you hopefully in the not too distant future talking about acquiring significant larger footprint along that ramp. On this graphic also, if you don't see it, one of the things that Justin alluded to was increasing the civilian parking, and that is to leave the existing fence, take out a couple of sections of fencing here, a couple of fencings here, Jersey barriers so that it's not a permanent retrofitted that fence line. Those were bored holes. We don't want to bore any more holes in the pavement. We are also asking Grammar to provide us a pad for a secure arms vault. There will be arms stored on the property, not unlike what are stored in the current armory. They'll just be outside. There'll be a 6-foot chain link fence around that with anti-climb. Next slide. This is a closer view of the additional parking. Right now, I think there are oftentimes some training vehicles parked by Grammar Industries right on the inside of that fence. Now, we don't believe that we will detract from any of the functionality of the ramp. Again, a little closer look, taking a couple sections of fencing out here, these sections out here would allow civilian parking to do one-way loop through there and take care of all of our civilian members. And I didn't stress it, but from 46 members it has now at Seymour, it will double to approximately 83. It will only have 3 to 4 full-timers every day working there, but just like any drilling unit, will have multiple weekends during the course of the year when most of the unit will be there. Next slide, please. Oh, you can't see this. That's the C5 rear end, or tail end, I guess, maybe is more appropriately the answer, with a large piece of equipment offloading during that exercise I referred to earlier. And we're very pleased to have been able to have that aircraft land and offload like that. Very good part of that exercise. Subject to your questions, really it's kind of up to Justin now.
And I'll note, so we, like Jack said, we've been working on this for a couple of years now. Jack and I have been discussing it. And everything that the airport has requested as far as the Jersey barriers and removal of the fence and not drilling any additional holes is all requested at the airport, and the National Guard is able to facilitate those requests.
Any questions for Jack or Jason? Okay,
Would it be a no-brainer?
the action items are, so it's 4 items. One is to approve a sublease to National Guard. Second is for a modification of property. Third is to approve signage request changes. And the fourth is then the actual National Guard lease. It's probably in that order as well. Nothing from the board, I guess, at this point. Okay, any questions or comments from the public on that? Okay. I'm ready.
Make a motion that we approve the Grammar Industries sublease to the National Guard for
Second.
Grammar Industries space.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Now we have the modification to the property.
I'll make that motion as well.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
And
Okay, this is a signage, the next is a signage request change.
one of the things that the National Guard has requested of the airport is the addition, again, which is in the lease, this is in the Grammar Industries lease, actually, is that signage would go to the airport board as an improvement. So that's why you're being asked to approve that. The National Guard would like to put signage large enough to be read from River Road on the west side of the hangar. It's a fairly large lettering signs. So we talked with planning, essentially because they're a governmental entity, we've got no planning restrictions against signage of that large. So the request is any in Air National Guard or just
International.
any in National Guard?
Should it require variance for our sign?
No worries.
Are they lighted signs or letters or?
Just be letters, sir.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Okay.
Make a motion, Dave.
I'll so move again.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, passes. And then last is the approval of the National Guard lease of the property.
So the last item here, as far as the lease goes, we've drafted a lease. It is for that 1 acre parcel just north of the adjoining property that is to park additional military style heavy vehicles that will be in that location. So I don't think there's
And it's a, for the
Chris
record,
is
it's
the
a,
only one that have a question on that, I would think. Any other traffic up there?
No.
No issues? Yeah.
Dollar.
no.
It's a $0.
Yeah, it's a $0 lease. Yeah, used to be a military base, so,
Yeah, so,
yeah,
um,
we're allowed to do those things.
And one thing that I did mention that's very positive from this standpoint is that we're looking at the reconstruction of Taxiway Charlie and Taxiway Whiskey leading back to this hangar. I think it's going to lend a lot of support from the FAA side on where it is they're going to put in a significant amount of money towards that. So this is a very big positive from that aspect, and certainly the continuation of development in that area is going to be very positive from us. So again, I would support this approval.
No infrastructure changes required for that?
No, sir.
Motion to
Okay. I'll move to approve the National Guard lease of the additional property.
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, that passes too. Thank you.
Thank you, and board members.
You're welcome to leave if you would like, or you're welcome to learn about popcorn next.
Short.
Right, and to the board, I want to say thank you. This is it's been, like he said, this thing's been going for a couple of years. Justin's been working with it. There's been a lot of cooperation, we wanted to see a lot of different things. I was scared to death with a year lease, but I'm not, I'm okay with that. I think we're looking at probably, like Jack said, 3 to 5. I think this will be good for that side of the airport. Give us the opportunity. We've had some changes in the grammar operation that we bought a new building to take our safety office out, so we were ready to make some things happen here. So I think that's, and hopefully after a while, I'm going to ask a couple of questions about, so I can improve over here where the Columbus Airway hangar is, that we think that there's some opportunities there and figure out how we can, we knew there was value in the fuel farm. It's not a value to those guys, but I think it's definitely something that we need to take a look at. But I appreciate your support in this, and if anybody's got any questions, trust me, we're staying on top of it and working with Brian a lot, but thanks to the board.
Hey, Brian, can we make a note that the Grammar Industries lease is actually held by Route 3, which is our property company?
Sure.
So they're one and the same.
So noted. Anybody else? Okay. Discussion request for approval of the Ivy Tech Agricultural Popcorn Program.
I know this was briefly discussed in the last airport board meeting. Since that request, we have modified the location of that. Matt John, the chair of that department, is here in the audience if you got any additional questions. This is the full request of what they'd like to do. The agriculture department has continued to grow, kind of doubled in size from a faculty standpoint just this year. How many students do you have in that?
We're right around 100 students.
Around 100 students, so it's been going very well. Their request is to use approximately 2 acres of property to grow popcorn for the retail sale. And obviously, this will all be to support the Agri-Tech agriculture program. And we do all the soil sampling, cleaning, crop protection, harvest, cleaning, and packaging. And you can see the different classes that will be involved in this. The parcel of ground, again, since the last discussion, we've moved the location of the ground to west of the LHP building. It was a ground that we formerly did not do anything with. In fact, our maintenance department was mowing that. There were some large chunks of concrete, which we, any of the work with the street department are removing those. And again, it's an area that we have actually been mowing and spending our own time and money doing so. I think this request comes at a very good time for that. So I would give to the airport board a request to lease that 2 acres. We have drafted a cash farm lease at $1 a year. So it is, again, to support the Agri-Tech program, whatever it is they're going to do. They'll certainly be supporting the airport and the promotion of the fact that they are doing this on airport grounds. This is a year-to-year lease. So should we, in 1 year, have irrigated seed corn back, the popcorn would be removed at that point. Again, irrigated seed corn and popcorn was, as I'm aware,
Not very compatible.
yeah, not very compatible, so we have something to think about there. But for this year, we have no irrigated seed corn, which is why we're requesting this as a year-to-year lease. If for any reason after this year it does not come back or we want it back, they have agreed to put grass back down in place.
Are the chunks of concrete a result of someone dumping it on top of good farm ground, or is it wreckage from previous structure?
That was some of the reconstruction several years ago, with just some stuff that's stockpiled in there. There was concrete and rocks, and it's been leveled out, it's all gone now, so it's just something that was happening during some of the construction.
I guess when Vickers was built to the north of Bushard, that we used to farm that area, and I don't know if that was some of the reasons why this concrete was. Again, the street department's been very, very good at cleaning out things like that. And our maintenance department's done a significant amount of that cleaning as well.
But it's gone, it's not.
It's all back, it's ready to go back into production now.
Any other questions from the board? Questions from the public? Comments?
Matt, do you have anything to say?
I just appreciate your consideration of this, and like you said, our program's grown quite a bit, and as you all know, students like to get their hands dirty and do things and not just watch PowerPoints about it, so this will give us a great opportunity close to our campus to get them out there, and we've got some new technology we purchased too, so we'll be able to get that out and show them how to use those things as well. So we appreciate the consideration.
Back to you, board.
Motion to.
I'll do that. I'll make a motion that we approve the agricultural popcorn program.
Second.
Fair say aye. Aye. Opposed? So approved. Thank you.
Question about the popcorn.
Yes, sir.
How are you going to market and sell this?
Well, we have a sales class and a marketing class, and we were discussing this today. That's something we're going to talk about with those students. We've got plenty of time, at this point to look into that. But we talked about packaging it on a smaller scale and working with our visual communications program to create some kind of label and selling it either on campus, or we have several students that have graduated that their families have farm stores and things too, so there might be an opportunity to put those on the shelves. With an interest in local food, I don't think we'll have an issue moving it out. It's just one of those things
The
that
school's excellent at doing the synergy kinds of things
Yes.
with all those departments.
we've had good luck with that, and with an interest in local food, I think we'll be able to get it out. And as you can see by the proposal, a lot of different classes and disciplines really touch on this project. So.
Okay, presentation and discussion on the West Side Hangar development.
Thank you very much.
My name's Matt. I am an intern. I'm an intern at Columbus Municipal Airport. I'm a recent Auburn University graduate. Moved up here about 5 or 6 months ago and was blessed enough to land in the Columbus area. I met Brian while I was at the airport for a little bit. He invited me to an AAI conference in Plymouth, in the north of Indiana. Went up there with him, and I think a day or two after that, he invited me to be an intern, so I was glad to get accepted. One of the first projects that he asked me to work on whenever I came here was to conceptualize, one, if there was a need for hangars in the area, and two, how do we do that? So we went around to different airports, and I just want to run through them. To begin with, develop your airport hangar analysis sheet. Shelbyville has 24 T hangars. 5 were built, 12 were built 5 years ago, and another 12 were built about 2 years ago. They are full, and from what they told me is they all had a waiting list as they were being built. So those hangars run between $315 and $225 a month. $315 is for the newest hangars. Seymour, we visited, they have 40 T hangars. 6 of them are empty currently, and they run for $85 a month. We visited Greenwood. They have 111 T hangars available. 23 of those are open. I've been told that of those open hangars, they are all older style hangars. Those hangars run for $333, $242, and those are the 2 newer hangars that they've built, and then $105 a month for old hangars. North Vernon, we visited, they have 32 hangars, about half of them are full. Those run for $60 a month. Visited Bloomington. Bloomington has 55 hangars available, T hangars available. $220 a month for a hangar large enough to accommodate a twin. $145 a month for a hangar large enough to accommodate a single. And those are all full with a waiting list. We have 22 T hangars available. And they're currently full, but we don't have a waiting list for any of them. So we looked at the different kinds of hangars that we could build. T hanger, box hanger, or a shared wall condo hanger. So it's a box hanger that one hanger shares a wall in the next hangar. We do have 2 air commanders and an IU helicopter currently based here that they're seeking some space. We can't accommodate those into a T hangar, so we looked at a 60-foot by 80-foot box hangar. Volpers told us that can accommodate about 3 aircraft. We may be able to lease to an individual who will then sublet that to other tenants. The airport's not going to be responsible for subletting out. The other concept was a shared wall condo hangar. That would be 54 feet wide by 45 feet deep with a 48-foot bifold door. That will hold about 2 aircraft. We designed to hold most twin engine aircraft, a small commuter or a Citation Mustang. If you all would flip to the $511,000 contractor estimate, which the shared wall condo units would cost about $511,000. Those are 6 units side by side. With those 6 units, they would cost about $85,000 per hanger, and after a 20-year payoff, we would be looking at about $354 a month rent. For the box type hangars, for a 20-year payoff at $122,000, you're looking at about $512 a month rent. After talking with Ryan, kind of talking in amongst ourselves, we suggest, I think, that we build a shared wall condo unit. I think Brian will probably be able to talk a little bit better than I can, but we feel that we may be able to find more people that can have the money to own a twin or larger aircraft and come into a $300 a month hangar instead of a $500 a month. And those aircraft will also be able to use the fuel at the airport on some of the facilities.
Like Matthew said, we've got 22 T hangars currently, while we've got maybe 1 or 2 on waiting list at any given time. We were looking at various hangars to be able to build, and it just didn't seem feasible for us to build a T hangar. It doesn't seem like our current tenants need that size of a hangar, which is why the suggestion was that we looked at these condo style box hangars. You could fit 2 aircraft in those condos, should they want to go in and share together. Although, even at that size of a hangar, it's a pretty large hangar, 54 wide by 45 deep. Today is just an open discussion. There's no decisions we made today. If we were ever to move forward with this, we would have to go out for a full bid spec and you get those. But you can see from the numbers that Matthew's been working on for the last couple of months, it would certainly be more things surrounding airports around us. I think if we looked at the Seymour with their most recent T hangars being built, and a T hangar $315, those are the most recent hangars that we can find in the general area that have been built. Most hangars are old, very old. We think that there's a market out there. The idea is that we could have twins like the Aero Commanders, or I know Tom is often plagued by the idea of having to put a twin in the large hangar now. He's got more aircraft and kind of knows what to do with it when going into the large hangar. So again, this is more for your information and just discussion topic today. And again, we don't expect any decisions to be made today. We want to give you the information that Matthew's been working on. This will be his last month with us as an intern, so he wanted to be able to present his findings over the course of the last month and a half to 2 months now.
Somebody have any questions or comments on opinions? Hanger styles, or what people would buy, wouldn't buy, rent, wouldn't rent?
I think our next step is to do a market survey before we go any further. I'm really not in favor of being the spec construction business. And I think the market for hangars is somewhat illiquid.
What's your suggestion on a market survey? You were talking about finding local pilots from
I
around the
would
region.
get the FAA list and do a 50-mile radius, a mailing 50-mile radius. Of a survey, determine interest, and if there's interest, what level they would feel comfortable paying for it, and then pursue it farther to interest in condos or outright purchase or whatever options we want to give them. Then we would have solid information to proceed. Right now, it's speculation.
But we're not interested in, I know, I think we've talked about this in the past as far as a spec hangar of some kind, and the idea that there's very few tenants, which is why we haven't had a hangar built on this airport since 2006, before Bob Page came in and built one this year. There's just no one that's coming in and building a hangar. But we know that every hangar space that we have right now is filled.
We've also done nothing to market.
Every hangar, literally every hangar space that we have right now is full.
Yeah, that hasn't always been the case, but I'm saying on these other hangars, we've done nothing to market it. And how can you market something if you don't know what your potential market is, your prospective market? This is just marketing one-on-one.
This could be done in phases also, you don't need to do 6 units, you can do 2 and add on as you need. Try speculation on what they're.
I think we can certainly talk to the contractor. Again, we'd have to go out for full bid spec, so I don't know that I would anticipate the same price per unit to go on a smaller scale. That's something that we can certainly use the contractor.
My only major concern is if the airport decides to go down this route, is will the airport own and rent the hangar, or will the airport try and sell the hangar and recoup land lease? I think there's more potential money involved by renting a hangar, but at the same time, as the entity structure we are we good at building rentals versus land rentals and maintenance on those things? Because those obviously parts that we rent one box hangar now, which has some maintenance involved, but we start doing more. Does that become a burden? Do we have issues with maintaining capital accounts, having a budget to fix things as they break? I think mentally my goal would be to increase operations and base aircraft, not necessarily look at it as a revenue generator. Something that's a substantial revenue generator. It'll generate some revenue, but a few $1,000s a year is minimal. We may be better off trying to incentivize or somehow help people get hangars built, but they don't maintain themselves and we can get things back forward. That's just a personal opinion. I mean, the real challenge in this is it's very difficult for an average person to get financing for $135,000 building on these things. And so that's why a lot of people want hangars, is because banks are very reluctant to lend money unless you have a really good relationship with the banker. So I think that's why you don't see a lot of hangars being built generally in most airports. It's just not feasible for those people to pay for it.
What does this do to Jeff Harris? Does this help you any more space?
Well, it could, yeah. We've got commitments to where our hangar space is filled or filling very rapidly, especially with winter. I think it's going to be seasonal.
Transitions.
Yeah.
also think any aircraft larger than, personal, single engine, maybe a small personal twin, somebody who's got something a little larger than that, like Aero Commanders or small private jets. I don't think generally those people are going to be, they're going to want to be close to the terminal, I think. And I mean, well, there's exceptions to that, but I think generally, if we're going to build hangars that are capable of accommodating larger planes, the South Miami feels like a better place for those. Now, I don't know where that's going to be. That would solve that problem, but they're going to be one close to surfaces, and they're going to be close to the fuel truck, and they're going to be close to the restaurant. So something else to think about is, does the end user, if you put big end users on the west side, will they come because they're too far away from the planes?
Steve, you do a lot of research in terms of planes and pilots. Is there a way to look at that FAA database and determine the trends in number of based planes? Because we know our own, but what's happening in these other places, or could you target southern Indiana as more pilots and more planes, or?
I don't know if you can spot a trend because the FAA data is on current registered aircraft. But you can do one of two things. You can go in the MBAA directory with members only, which we are. That only accounts for half the business jet population out there, but that would still be a significant enough population size to be meaningful. We go in, let's say we want to pick up Cummins, go to Cummins, but then I can pick up other MBAA members in Columbus or around the area. We can slice and dice the database to get an idea of what the current population is. We know this airport, but other airports. The only issue you're going to have is how far do you want to drive to get to your airplane?
Yeah, that's kind of the next question.
Now, if I'm in Seymour, people are going to drive to North Vernon for hangars just because it's less expensive. But what they haven't figured out is the cost to drive the car down there, we pay for a hangar here 2 or 3 times over. But I think that if someone has an airplane and it's going to be on an airport, it's either going to be hangared or tied down. So we can check the population, we can look at both business jets, we can look at everything, Piston and what have you, but the population, the aircraft population is not growing. Okay, the pilot population has been in the state for 20 years. So if we're going to attract people, it's almost going to have to be a new operator or someone that's new to this area. So for example, Elwood Stack, okay, they're not a current operator, they charter. They're probably a very legitimate candidate for some form of aircraft access over the charter. So if we were going to do a market survey of current aircraft, we ought to also do a survey of businesses that from our perception have the potential or the need and the wherewithal to own a business aircraft or access business aviation through any number of, be it joint ownership, be it jet cards, be it fractional or what have you. And the only thing that does us any good is either joint ownership or sole ownership. Fractional does us no good for hangar service here, or the jet cards.
I think the opportunity to transit schools, location. I think they'll build a condo hangar or something in these people in South Grand.
It's transit.
Private hangars over here are fine, but, in transits, you don't need a week of transits, you pay for most hangars, you need 4 or 5 a month. And I think that's where we don't have any transits, hangar space. I think that's an area that is, and you can get, $100 a night for airplanes. That's when we get a whole month from a single engine airplane. So I think something on the south ramp that would be big enough to have tenants and work bigger and have transit capability would be
Tom, where are you in terms of having to turn people away or your capacity for transit aircraft now, realizing that there's going to increase that a little bit?
Well, right now we have a Central Air Cargo that's flying. They have 2 airplanes based here. They were parked on the ramp. They wanted in the hangar for the winter. We have one large aircraft, remains to be anonymous, that takes up a good chunk of the hangar, but it pays the bills, so he's there. We have a couple others that are wanting to come in, that I think we're going to be able to accommodate them. And plus we are, Freight Runners is doing the Farcia contract. They have a King Air. They're here generally 4 or 5 nights a week during the week. They have a different utilization on their aircraft, so they're going somewhere with it on the weekend, so we don't see it on the weekend, so that's fine. Generally, what we're finding is that only in inclement weather are the transients really wanting in the hangar, and I'm sure that as snow and ice start coming, that'll change just a little bit, but with our de-icing capabilities, that'll change the picture of that as well. But it's going to be cheaper to hangar the airplane than it would be to de-ice it. But for freight runners coming through and people like that, cargo operations, the de-icing makes sense because we can't just stick them in the hangar to heat them and de-ice them. So mainly what we're seeing are local people that are based here. And that's where our bread and butter would be as far as the new hangar space is concerned.
Do you have very many planes tied down?
No, the only planes we have tied down are our school planes, and then occasionally we'll have a transient customer that'll be here for maybe a week at a time. And if the weather's going to be bad, we try to squeeze him in the corner of the hangar. I mean, we can do it.
What are you doing in the round top? Is that strictly maintenance company?
I'm sorry?
The maintenance company strictly the round top, or are you able to squeeze people in there too?
Yes, we're co-oping with them, and we've got the 2 central airplanes over there now, 2 Aero Commanders, and so we're able to have more utilization that way. The old blue hangar, the old FBO, where Andy's going to be, the door situation is not such that we can get in and out very easily, and so we probably won't be using it for overnight.
What's the door situation?
Well, it just has the posts, and it has the smaller doors, and you've got to remove a metal post in order to get it in, and it's kind of time-consuming to do all of that, rather than just opening up a big bifold door or whatever. So basically, we're relying on the round top and the transient hangar for our activities.
In a squeeze or a finish, you could use that old FBO?
Yes, we could, yes. Providing he hasn't filled it with airplanes he's working on, yeah. But yeah, in a pinch, we could do that, yeah. And once he's out of there, that'll give us a lot more, that's what we're counting on, a lot more.
Okay, well, this is just for mental digest. Do we have any other questions, comments on that? Thank you. Questions or comments from the public before we move on? Okay, discussion and request for approval on the West Side Hangar Development Survey.
Well, I'll tell you, maybe we got a table.
Okay, for a table?
Well, we have, I think the area that you were showing your color map here, this entire area, including the dashed line, is the area that we were looking to survey for future West Hangar, for future West Side development. If you want us to focus on South Hangar development, we probably want to this.
Yeah, just say let's table it.
So we'll take
Sound good? Any objections? Discussion of credit card acceptance as a form of payment.
we don't have enough information to proceed with that today. We'll request a
That's easy.
Yep. For what? We're looking at a repayment for conference rooms. A lot of times it's an issue with getting that, and even some of these payments, we're being requested to do by credit card. So again, we don't have enough information, fees and how we would do it, so we're
Tower report.
I know Ben is not here, his wife had surgery, and So if we ask that we cover that, you can see from the month of November, we had 2,917 operations for a total year-to-date operations of 39,574. As you can tell, it's a great year for us so far. 2003, we got to have some major operations to be able to still continue on and get that 41,600 2003. So I did something else from the tower op standpoint. The FAA gives out their tower operations number. Now this is at the end of September, so the FAA has a different fiscal year than we have. So from that would be October 1st of 2014 through September 31st, whatever it is, of this year. We had a total operation of 40,184. That ranked us again higher than Fort Wayne, South Bend, Evansville area. Most of the ones you would think of. We're still fourth busiest tower in the state of Indiana, the busiest contract tower in the state of Indiana, and we now have more than twice as many military operations as the next highest, which is Fort Wayne. We have 3,747 operations for military versus Fort Wayne 1,805. So that's even better than it was previously. So that was an 8% increase in that fiscal year, an 8% increase of our operations. So we're doing well.
Great. Attorney's report?
The only item that I had next month, I think there will be a proposal on the settle lease that we discussed last month, and I hope to maybe have some people here today. I think that will be next month, so that's it.
Okay. Farm manager's report.
I think I tried to put everything in my report to you. I guess if there's any questions or anything about what we're working on, most of it's wrapping up year end, all the crops are in, so we're getting all of our checks in, settlements in, and wrapping things up for the year. Starting to look next year.
Questions for Dave? Questions from public? Engineer's report.
Okay, for AIP 26 and 27, regarding Reef Riley and the construction project, a lot of the punch list items have been completed, retainings finalized, grinding operations finalized as of last week, some additional grooving finalized, and sealing should be finalized this week. The completion of the dirt work and the seeding, we're looking to have done this spring. Honestly, if we try to get out there and do much dirt work, we're just going to do more damage than good. We're going to run up the dirt and track it off on the pavement. So
Will there be a final payment withheld until that's complete?
As far as retainage,
Yeah.
yeah, we're going to hold back retainage until that's complete. We can pay up to that point. There are a couple of cleanouts we're also going to have installed that we removed during construction, under drain cleanouts. Sorry, we're going to do that in spring as well. We have to get in the dirt to install them, so we don't wait for that in spring as well. So again, will be part of the retainage. Currently on AIP 26, we're showing a deduct. We're about 99% complete on the change order. A deduct in the amount of $266,189.15. On AIP 27, that's an additional deduct, $92,543.63. Still waiting on minor items to come in, meaning we have all the sub quantities taken care of, or Reef Riley does. So now we're just waiting for their final blessings on these change orders, and we'll submit everything to you next month. I'm still waiting on unconditional waivers of lien. That shows me that all the subs have been paid, as well as the as-built drawings, so that we can then close out these grants. I know FAA is pushing us to close out the grant as soon as possible. So as soon as they give me all that final documentation, we'll get that done. Is there any questions on the construction side? There's no pay request or anything like that. Contractors taken care of right now. Okay. On the CIP, I submitted a CIP to everybody last month and just asked the board to review that and bring back any comments, suggestions for this month's meeting. I'm also talking with Brian. I don't think there's very many significant changes, especially based on what we learned at the AAI annual conference and our presentation there. But did everybody have a chance to review? Is there any comments or not on the CIP that I submitted last month?
How much much pressure, how long will we resist that fencing issue?
They just want to make sure that it's still on your radar.
Okay. So we're not
That was what was
obligated,
directed to me.
we're not obligated imminently to proceed down that path.
I think that the FAA still understands that the pavement-related projects are of utmost importance.
What is their concern on the perimeter roads?
That is just, that's not in your ALP now. If there's any additional development on the west apron that we have to install perimeter roads for, we got to make sure that we update the ALP. That's really the biggest thing they're saying. We got to do that for the taxiway Charlie modification as well. That's in the CIP. Really, any development we do, we have to do an ALP update. That's just a reminder, more or less, to do that.
That was one of the only things Nick and I met earlier today, that was really one of the only things we added is the change update, change to that, and also the change to that alpha removal and alpha full parallel. So taking that out now.
And they're good with that?
Yeah, they're good with that.
I don't think we're going to graphically show a perimeter road. We're just going to put it in the text portion so it's still on the radar. We understand that this is get done as development happens.
So Nick and I will work on that, and we should expect something in January. If we can improve it, January meeting, we'll be able to send it February 1st.
That's all I have, unless there's any other comments or questions.
I think that everything I saw on the reconstruction of 1432 was just an outstanding job with any issues we're handling, and going through any issues, so thank you, compliments to you and the contract.
Thank you. It was a good communication effort. I think that that's what sells the job from start to finish is the responsiveness we get from the airport, the contractor, and our inspector, and us as well. So thankfully, it was communicated very well in the roads that we need to take care of.
Any questions or comments? Councilor Polk? FBO report.
Well, November was a really good month, an exciting month. A few weeks ago, we had the Secretary of the Army here doing an inspection at Atterbury, and I think that he was in here twice. My son and I got an opportunity to take a tour of the G550 that he flew in on, which was really interesting. He didn't want our opinions on anything, didn't ask us, so I was a little disappointed at that. I mean, you know, I have an opinion about everything, but, you know, that's the way it goes. We are going to have, in a few days, we've got a group from the East Coast coming to inspect the airport area because of the new projects, training items they have coming up next year, and so they just come and refresh their memories of the facilities that are here and so forth. So I believe they're coming in the 11th, I think, is when he told me they were coming. And
Tom, when you say inspection, is that the physical aspect? Or
yeah, they're just going to come and look at the airport and get the lay of the land. Basically, they have so many different groups coming in, and they're not familiar with the airport, so they want to come and see what's here and how far it is from Atterbury and where the planes will park and that sort of thing. So it's just a physical inspection of the airport property and what we have here. And we're really encouraged by all of this, and I'm happy to see the other project that you're working on. This is very good, and because we like seeing those military airplanes, and especially the big ones, because we get to pump fuel in them sometimes, so that works out really well. Andy Ziegler is about ready to get moved. He's been spending several months rehabbing the new facility that he's going into. It took quite a bit of work, and that's the only reason he hasn't moved yet. It's just trying to get the restrooms and everything up to speed, and so I think by this time next month we'll have him move down there. That's our plan and our hope. We're still working on our developing of our de-icing program. We're writing our manual and getting everything in position for that. So
what approvals have to happen on that from all other entities?
You want to address that, Brian, since you've...
Yeah, we're working right now on completing our SBC first. SWIP, make sure that our SWIP is updated to include de-icing. We may have to go to IDIM for additional approval, I'm not sure. Previously, our SWIP did mention some de-icing, but we're not sure on what scale that is. So we're still working with NGC, the consulting firm, to complete that project. So we should know something within the next couple of weeks. In fact, I think we've got one call on Thursday, to try to wrap that SWIP up.
And we're optimistic because we've got the truck bought.
You guys, do we have to do anything to the ramp to accommodate that chemistry?
We do not have to do anything on the ramp. The only thing that IDM really looks for is your outfall if any liquids leave the property. Since our liquids on the south ring going to essentially a basin to the east of the maintenance hangar, nothing actually leaves our airport property. So there's a lot less regulations against it. However, if Cummins or anyone else needed on the west ring needed de-ice, they would have to bring an aircraft over to the south ring. Again, that's what the SOPs that Tom's working on is essentially calling out the south ring in a specific area of the south ring to run as the de-icing area.
That was a drainage kind of question.
Yes.
And you guys put everything in the hangar, so you really don't have to.
Yeah, probably wouldn't need it normally, but we do have transients come down and then drop somebody off, for instance, a customer, and they've always asked about it, so it'll be good to know what the process is so we can hand it over to them.
Yeah, but they would have to relocate to the south, right?
Not unusual, right?
I mean, there are a lot of large airports, Denver, for example, it's been so long I can't remember all of them, but they have de-ice pads where they have to taxi to be de-iced there, so.
What would be involved and would it be worthwhile to add the west ramp to our de-icing proposal?
That's a somewhat significant increase because the west ramp, the drainage from the west ramp is only drainage leaving the property. So we would have a lot more regulations to go through if that was the case.
Yeah, and Steve, honestly, most operators that are going to de-ice want to be closer to the runway they'll depart from. So the south side gives you better access to 3 of the 4 runways than we would on the west ramp. So I don't think there's a lot of gain in doing that.
And in the wintertime, the prevailing winds would be out of the north, I would think, and so that's going to make it a lot better for them, to the south side. We have purchased a snowplow. We're ready for winter, and we're trying not to do our snow dance just because we want to use the plow. But after we use it a couple of times, we'll wish it would quit snowing. But it's always nice to have something new to play with, and that's what we have. If the fuel sales are any indication of our growth and development, for the month of November, we sold 21,887 gallons of Jet A, 4,514 gallons of 100 low lead. Our sales year to date, we've sold 206,800 gallons of Jet A and 49,900 gallons of 100 low lead. 37% of that, just to give you an idea, 37% of that was to the military as far as the Jet A is concerned, which is a little lower than what we were anticipating. We were told that in the past about 50% of the fuel sales went to the military. So with the kind of numbers we're looking at, we're pretty pleased that we still have these high numbers and only selling 37% to the military.
Is 37% a decrease in 50 because of additional sales?
Well, we don't know. We don't know. We came into this thinking and anticipating that we would sell at least 180,000 gallons of Jet A and, probably 40,000 gallons of 100 low lead. And so we've exceeded that, and so we're really not sure. We don't have enough experience to really be able to say what that was, or at least enough data to be able to, because we didn't get any hard fuel numbers.
Well, off your year-to-date and then an estimate of 180 or 26,000 gallons, give or take.
Yeah.
You have it where you thought it would be.
Right. Yes, we are.
I'm assuming you were predicating the business plan on the 180,000.
Right. We were. So we're pleased with the development. And so in hand with that, to wrap this up, I really want to thank the board.